and the Mockingbird media, and frankly, other people in the world who've been caused to feel panic about the shutdown of USAID. There's so much to talk about here in relation to Doge and the coordinated attack on the Doge team. And it goes to just show the magnitude of the lies they're willing to tell. And it's a minor little thing. It's a stupid little thing. It's about the age of the guys. We'll get to the age of the guys because it shows how they're just trying to claw at something to save what is clearly, in my mind, a CIA cutout and something that's been completely perverted. Note this, that this hasn't been a topic of conversation until Elon Musk did the most extraordinary thing, the scariest thing. It is pure fascism. He let us see the data. The revolutionary thing here is they opened up the spending records to be examined by us. We are seeing our own dollars spent, and that's what's caused this. That's why there is such excitement to begin to page through and get rid of the utter fraud and waste. New York Times got $50 million. $50 million. It's a struggling newspaper who's been able to forestall staff being fired because of that. Christianity Today got $2-3 million, and they've utterly changed as a publication. They're absolutely heretical. But notice that none of this has been discussed. There are people in D.C. who knew what USAID had become, and I bet there's Mockingbird media members who did. But we know that there are agreements on strategic silence that came through USAID actively instructing media organizations to have strategic silence. In other words, what I've talked about for almost a decade, the propaganda of silence. They did it. They admitted it. They enforced it. So let's get to the age thing here because this is what matters. They're going to focus on a number. And truly, you can make age kind of, that whole thing is age is just a number. It's not necessarily true. I mean, our bodies do age. But you can kind of control that process to a degree. I mean, there's a lot you can do. Exercise, proper diet, being outside, vitamin D, being with the Lord, being in prayer life. A lot of this can help. You can also forestall some of the effects of a life well lived. A life as a logger, man, providing for a family, well lived. A life as a trucker, well lived. Life as a cop, having to tackle bad guys, well lived. Your job probably adds stress to your life, and it probably manifests sometimes in inflammation. I am begging you, do not give in to the ibuprofen scam. Don't do it. The ibuprofen scam is going to cause you inflammation. It doesn't stop inflammation. It causes it. It abates the symptoms for a bit, but it doesn't do away with the cause. So what should you use? Native Path Krill. The moment I began taking these soft gel tabs just before bed, I had no more need for ibuprofen. I'm saying in 2 days it was gone. Ibuprofen destroys your gut lining. It leads to inflammation, and it's pharma, and they want you taking more of it. Native Path Krill is hard to get. It comes from 73 miles off the Antarctic coast. It's a crustacean that helps, when you take this, reduce and minimize leg and foot swelling. It reduces joint pain. It helps with metabolism. And to me, it was miraculous the way I never needed another ibuprofen pill going on a year away from it now. So boost your health with Native Path Antarctic Krill. Visit getkrill.com/Todd. That's getkrill.com/Todd to see what deals are waiting for you. Getkrill.com/Todd and help control the aging process because you can. This is Wired Magazine. The young, inexperienced engineers aiding Elon Musk's government takeover. Now, the government takeover stuff is obviously hyperbola. Wired knows this. Secondly, Wired cheers. On a consistent basis, they cheer young developers, young engineers. And what are they engineering? They are very capable of doing the math to engineer rockets into the sky. They're very capable of this. They're genius level guys. Their age doesn't affect that. Sure, there's such a thing as wisdom. They may not have that. They may not have earned that. But they have the brain power to go into a database, feed it into an algorithm, and let people search it. And what exactly control, what control do they actually have? The control they have is to show people what's going on. And here's some of the panicked way they wrote about this at Wired. Elon Musk's takeover of federal government infrastructure is ongoing. Infrastructure. They're looking at the payments. That's not infrastructure. It's a spreadsheet. And at the center of things is a coterie of engineers who are barely out of, and at least in one case, purportedly still in college. Most have connections to Musk, and at least two have connection to Musk's longtime associate Peter Thiel, a co-founder and chair of the analytics firm and government contractor Palantir, who has expressed opposition to democracy. He has not expressed opposition to democracy. Wired has identified 6 young men, all apparently between the ages of 19 and 24, according to public databases, their online presence and other records, who have little to no government experience and are now playing critical roles in Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency project, tasked by executive order with modernizing federal technology and software to maximize governmental efficiency and productivity. The engineers all hold nebulous job titles within Doge, and at least one appears to be working as a volunteer. That's fascism. Volunteering is fascism. You have this, a panicked video report saying that we see people as young as what? As young as 19 to 24 years old working in the federal government? We can't have that. We do have that. The average age of staffers in Washington, D.C. is 31. That's the average age. 31. That means, of course, that a lot of people are far younger than that. If you look at the age distribution, it's pretty impressive. You have people under 21 working in government, 25 to 29. Looking at a pie chart, 21 to 24, 30 to 39. That's almost equally distributed. 21 to 24, almost equally distributed as 30 to 39, almost equally distributed to 25 to 29. Washington, D.C. is staffed by young people. George Stephanopoulos, who, if you haven't seen this, and I should have pulled the footage of this, George Stephanopoulos was 31 years old when he had an official job in government as the press secretary for William Jefferson Blythe Clinton III. Slick Willie, Rush Limbaugh's nickname for President Clinton. He was 31 years old when he was on film during a documentary called The War Room, threatening newsrooms because of the Paula Jones story and the Juanita Broderick story. All the stories of women in the case of Paula Jones, where Bill Clinton, then governor, went to her in a hotel room, had her brought up. She was a state employee. And then he walked over, and as I recall the story, zipped his pants down, took it out, and said, I want you to touch it. I want you to kiss it. I interviewed Paula Jones, and I believed her story. You had Juanita Broderick, who to this day says she was by Bill Clinton, and I believe her. So to quell those stories, of course, we had the circumstance where 60 Minutes and the producer then, Don Hewitt, admitted they tried to resuscitate that campaign. That's where Hillary Clinton sat next to him, Bill Clinton. We had all those instances and all those times where George Stephanopoulos was in the background on video screaming at press people saying, you can run the story, but you'll never have access to the White House. 31 years old. You can run the story, but you're never going to have access to the White House. You are going to be completely banned from here. You won't be talking to the president at all. He's going to win. So we see attacks like this from CNN talking about age, just the same way that Wired magazine talked about age.
Editorial director of Wired, and they have these incredible exclusive new details about who Elon Musk is bringing in, sending in to these federal agencies. So, Kitty, I mean, these stories are sort of amazing. And then you're thinking, what world are we living in where you have, an unelected, unconfirmed individual with so much power?
Jody Fauci, unelected, unconfirmed. George Stephanopoulos, unelected, unconfirmed. The press secretary, threatening media organizations. They all know this. They all know this.
Trillions of dollars of payments and other government agencies. You've been focusing on 6 computer engineers. They're all men, and they are young. The youngest is 19.
And Aaron, just to be clear, this is the world we are living in. And Wired has been documenting a few sort of small parts of this world, including, yes, we have identified, and our reporting has identified 6 young men All of our reporting indicates they are between the ages of 19 and 24. They are either
just like 25% of the staff in Washington, D.C. is between those ages. Some of them younger. This is how desperate they are to lie themselves into panicking everybody on this. They're taking what is the ordinary and attempting to make it extraordinary, which leads us into some extraordinary things. Like this. A Boston University employee named Jared May, who is an assistant professor of media, as I understand it, posted a wanted poster for those 6 young guys who are way too young and way too inexperienced to run a spreadsheet, a glorified spreadsheet, albeit well done and quick acting. He posted this that said, it is a wanted poster. It has their names and their images, their pictures. He wrote, the men carrying out Musk's coup, and he names them, and he put wanted for treason, dead or alive. He's a Boston University employee. Question. How many 19 to 24-year-olds at elite universities are involved in operations for government? Stanford University is built on the information security state. They don't talk about this. They're built on DARPA. They're built on CIA ops. They have been working hand in fist with the intelligence services since the two came together 40, 50 years ago. Young people like this have access to our information all the time. Young people at Facebook, they don't just have your name and address. They can go get your social security number in 5 seconds. They have where you travel. They know, for instance, who you're around. This happens every time I go to my beloved pizza place. I go and I eat pizza, and I go and I look at Facebook where I just lurk for content, and I'll see images of the waiters and waitresses. Some of whom I've grown to know over the years, some I don't. I'm like, no, I am not going to offer to be friends with a 21-year-old girl on Facebook because she poured some water for me at a pizza place. The panic is made up. The concern about their age is made up. This is desperation. And it's working. There are people who legitimately believe that now kids in Africa are going to start dying today because of Elon Musk and USAID. And here's what I think. I think Marco Rubio, who said, hey, 10,000 of you are gone, but I'm going to need 268 people to stick around. I think those 268 people are going to stick around. He's going to go, okay, here's what USAID does. We provide legitimate aid where people would otherwise lose their lives. And the Trump administration would be smart to do that and to spotlight getting back to actually helping people.